This episode's brought to you by S&K Tea and Coffee. If you're tired of bland grocery store blends, it's time to upgrade. S&K Tea and Coffee brings you the finest organic loose-leaf teas and freshly roasted coffee beans from around the world. Whether you're craving a bold coffee or a soothing green tea, they've got you covered with pure, authentic taste. No fillers, no artificial flavors. If you're in Colombia, you can find this mother-daughter duo at Soda City each Saturday or pick up their products at The Collective, Noter Luxury Skin Spa, and Corazon Holistic Health. And right now, get 15% off your first order with code SHIANA at snkteaandcoffee.com. Experience the difference. Who you calling holistic?
That's Shiana.
Hi, welcome to Who You Calling Holistic. I am your host, Shiana Rivers. I know it has been a while, but I don't even have a real excuse to give you either. But I do have a wonderful guest with me again today. I've brought back Zakiya. Hey, girl, hey.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm glad you're back.
I'm glad I'm back too.
I don't think you need an excuse.
Nope, that's fair. The world has been shambly.
Yeah, people need rest.
Yeah, that's fair. And I saw a post recently that was like, you know, shows have seasons. It's not like it's not a whole length, or it's not a year-long process. There's like a season and then,
Right.
And I was like, you know what? I need to start seeing this that way as well.
For sure, for sure.
I just need to probably pick my season though
Yeah.
to stick with.
Maybe a number of episodes.
We'll sort that out. It's one of those like when you're the, it's not that I'm the first doing it, but I don't really follow many of the others to be like, oh yeah, this is how they do it. And you know, so.
Also the first in proximity, like in your community. I mean, you
Yeah.
are in our, I don't know anybody else that has a podcast with this kind of reach.
Same. Thank you. So we always do very well with these anyway. And this was on the schedule to record, like we had discussed months ago. We had discussed maybe a week after the last episode.
Yes.
That you needed to come back on because you still had some stuff to say.
I did. Surprise.
Shocker. And then we scheduled it. And then some other stuff happened, and it was like, okay, well, all right. So it's right on time as always.
Perfectly timed.
But before we get into the content that we had already discussed we needed to discuss, I wanted to talk about something real quick.
Sure.
So a few days ago on Instagram, you shared a car rant.
Yeah.
What was the title of that rant? Or what was the subject
Martyrdom.
of it?
Yeah.
Martyrdom. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So back when, let me give you some context, or let me give you a backstory too, because relatable. So back when I was in massage school, 2011, forever ago, we learned about Chinese medicine stuff. We learned about chakra stuff. Completely forgot that I learned any of that.
Right.
And now I'm like, oh shit, I learned that forever ago. It makes sense that I'm, integrating it with the things I do now, but I learned about it forever ago. And I remember even somebody that went to massage school was like, we learned that, right? And I was like, did we? Yeah. I was like, yeah, like go through your resources again. And I was like, oh shit, we did learn that.
For sure.
I didn't know that. My bad. All of that to say, when we went over your human design, it was probably like 2020.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, right?
Yes.
2020, 21 maybe? So, I feel like it was 2020-ish.
Sure.
Okay, so it's been a while.
It has.
But every now and then, we have conversations, and then I say to you, have you looked at your design lately?
And I say no.
Yep. So I pulled up your design earlier just to have a glance.
Yeah.
Because I remembered some stuff, which is weird because why do I remember this? But anyway, I remembered some stuff. But I was like, let me just go back and look because she clearly needs some reminders.
I'm open.
Cool. So your profile is a 1-3.
Okay.
Which is called the Investigator Martyr. Okay?
Oh.
All right?
Oh, is it really?
It is. It is.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Did we?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
We discussed it back in 2020.
20 worst years of my life.
Fair. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
2020 and 2021, blur.
Fair. That is fair.
Blur.
But you are a 1-3 investigator martyr. You're in good company because Snoop, he's a 1-3.
Okay.
Look at his life.
I like Snoop.
I want to say Martha Stewart's a 1-3 also.
Okay.
But when you think about the lives they've lived,
yes.
a lot of, they're the first in a lot of things as well.
Yes.
And they've brought solutions to problems that they've recognized.
Yes.
Right?
I do that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
Because the line 3 in human design is very much lived by trial and error. So your life's work always is trial and error.
Oh, yeah. Just trying shit. Just throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks. With intention, though.
Yes. Yes. Because that is what you were designed to do.
Sure. Because the investigator part. Got it. Okay.
So a few other things about your human design. Your incarnation cross, which is your life purpose, your path, is the cross of the vessel of love. So this brings life purpose rooted in self-love, authenticity, and a unique aura of charisma.
Yeah.
You are a leader through example.
Yes.
By embodying authenticity and self-acceptance, you lead others to find their own sense of purpose and self-worth.
Have I not been screaming we got to talk about embodiment on here for
Oh yeah, we'll get to that in a moment too. That's
you just said. Sure.
We're not even there yet.
Got it.
That's one of the channels we're about to discuss. That's next step.
Got it.
So a few of your channels, you have the 10 to 57 channel, which is intuitive leadership.
Yes.
You are natural at leadership, and you have this instinctive awareness of what's safe and right in the moment. You often make split-second decisions that serve the greater good, protecting and guiding others with a grounded, calm presence. These are just a couple notes, by the way.
So bizarre.
Is it?
No. But yes. Because what are you reading from? My journal? Girl?
I told you all this stuff 4 years ago.
I know. I was in despair. I was certain the world was ending along with my life.
Well,
what?
And now we're at 2024.
I'm great. Everything's good. Well, everything is not great.
The world is shambly.
Yes, but
other people think the world is ending.
And it is mostly my job to convince them that it's not.
Shocker. You are you also have, I'll get to that one because that's the one that's the embodiment one. We'll come to that last. You also have the 3457 channel, which is power and awareness. It's a channel of raw power combined with keen intuition, known for being driven and proactive. You can quickly identify opportunities and act with precision, encouraging action in others. You also have a resilient energy. You're steadfast in high energy environments and naturally led by example, moving with an energy that others find contagious. You're also a courageous trailblazer. This is your channel of initiation. Known for bravery and heart, you often challenge others to step out of their comfort zones. And this channel supports a fearless approach to leadership, inspiring people to grow. And you're also an inclusive leader.
Yes.
You have a knack for creating a community or tribe that feels supported and valued, often leading from a place of compassion and empowerment.
You know, it's usually very uncomfortable for me to listen to people talk about me for any amount of time. I really prefer not to do that.
And you're on camera and microphone and all.
I have been over here like, allow yourself to be, because that all feels very affirming. It feels like good things.
It's not new information. That's the thing.
It's not new. I mean, it's all. I mean, that's pretty dead on. Yeah, that is me. That's who I am.
And then this last one. These aren't even all your channels, by the way. I just wanted to pull a few.
Sure. Yeah, send me that.
I just wanted to pull a few. Didn't we record I feel like we recorded.
Yes.
We recorded it. It's on Zoom.
Sure.
Remind me to find it.
Thanks.
Yep.
It was
because all this information's there too.
And I'm sure at that time I was like, dang, this is crazy. I have no memory
That's
of
all
that.
right.
Yeah.
That's all right. And also, so if anybody is listening that has had a design reading from me in the past, go ahead and listen to it again. Because I still listen to mine from time to time that I had. And I'm like, oh, shit.
That's a good,
I didn't even know.
good point. That's a great note. I think you should do this for everybody that comes on. You should read there.
Oh,
Like
an idea.
Some highlights.
I like that.
It gives a little insight.
I like that.
Do people, well, somebody might listen to this and not know that we are friends and have done life. We can't do that every time that I come
We
on the
can.
show. Okay.
There's some new listeners.
Yes.
There's some new listeners. There better be some new listeners.
Period.
But we're friends. We've known each other since college.
Yes.
So lastly, this is the one that you had said something on Instagram or you had shared something at one point, and then I was like, don't you have? And you were like, I don't know. And I was like, I'm pretty sure you have this because we both have this channel. So this is it's called the 4816 channel, the wavelength, and it is Gift of Skill Mastery. It's the channel of talent.
Okay.
This channel combines depth and talent, leading to mastery in chosen areas. You're highly skilled and enjoy sharing knowledge with others.
Yes.
You have a unique ability to transform raw skills into expert insights, often guiding others to new levels of understanding and confidence. So I had brought this channel up before because we were discussing your gig that you had with SC State? Nope.
Claflin.
Claflin, thank you.
Yeah.
Because you got that gig, and we discussed that before.
We did.
You gotten that gig just off of your knowledge, not off certifications, not off, like knowledge and being in the field and actually doing the work that you talk about doing.
Yeah.
And we were discussing, like, there are some people that take class after class, course after course, and you can do all of those things, but if you don't actually embody what you have learned, then what's the point?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I landed that position in a meeting about something totally unrelated for that opportunity. That meeting that we had actually went nowhere. The thing that we met to do never happened.
Of course.
But
that's not what the meeting was really for. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I was able to teach that social justice course, and it has led to opportunities for me to teach that course possibly next year at 2 more schools.
Very nice.
Yes.
Congratulations.
I'm very excited about that.
Yay.
Yeah, with no master's degree, which was always my thing. I was like, I would love to teach college, but I don't have a master's. So I really never even pursued it. Did not even pursue it in that meeting. It just
fell in your lap.
And is that like a manifesting generator thing?
Yes, in a way. So a manifesting generator, a lot of times what happens is if you are not in your flow of work, or if you're not in your, let me just say, if you're not in your flow, let me not even say work. If you are not in your flow, you may act or move like a manifester. And a manifester initiates things. We're not here to initiate. We are magnetic and attract our opportunities and experiences very much right place, right time. And there's always going to be something to respond to. So we wait to respond when we get that fuck yes within. That's like, ooh, yeah, want that. And then once we do that, things just roll for us, and they just
like that class. That was that. That's why. Yeah, that felt like that. I never thought, I did it and kept moving. But that I was like, I think this is one of those things where it's like that just came to me. And yeah, it's been. I had a great time teaching that, and I want to do more of that. But I would have never put myself out there for it because I didn't think I was qualified. And that's very unlike me. You know that,
right? But also, you don't have to put yourself out there for what you do. You will always attract what you need to attract.
Yes.
And whatever resources, whatever tools, whatever people, like you will always magnetize that.
Yes. All of my work right now has come to me. Nothing I do for work right now was something I sought out. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna be a hand model this weekend.
I love that.
And it's again like
it makes me look at your hands.
I got nice hands.
You do have nice hands.
Thank you.
I've just never looked.
Well, yeah. These are my money makers with my.
Yeah, that's why. So I mean, to me, it's kind of like, well, maybe they be working hard. Like maybe they be.
But if they're in lotion all day,
girl, I don't know nothing about that. You do have nice hands.
Thank you. You've had cupping before, but I guess you weren't looking at my hands.
No,
that's fair.
I was enjoying.
That's fair. That's fair.
The experience.
So what's been your recent experience with embodiment?
My recent experience with embodiment is kind of stuff like what we just talked about, right? Like being open to receive. I'm someone who's always telling people like, talk your shit, or like, you know, do your thing, or like be out there. And then when people start talking about me, I'm like, girl, that's not. I said, you talk yours. Don't talk my shit. So that feels like embodiment. Also, that authenticity piece on what you just read is so spot on, because I feel like I'm always having to remind myself that I get to be my whole self no matter where I am. And so that looks like, I think we talked about this last time, like wearing Jordans and girls in the lobby, like, and not being concerned with respectability. Like that's embodiment. It's like, who are you and who are you willing to be in this moment? It also looks like having really hard conversations, like really holding my boundaries, actually initiating those conversations, not waiting. Because I am someone who's like, I don't start fights. I say that all the time. I will fight, but I don't start it.
No, that's that manifesting generated to respond. Yes.
So it's like, if you come over here with it, I got something for you. But if you stay over there, I'll leave you alone. And there have been instances more recently in my life, I think, where I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to call this person and say something to them about this, sometimes even just like energetic thing that I'm feeling. Like I have to even cut it off before it even happens. To me, that feels like embodiment. Of embodying my values and being really fully aware of what I want my life to look like and feel like and move like and flow like, and being willing to like embody that in the ways that don't always feel good. And I just get so frustrated sometimes with the people that I love, because I feel like we are so smart. I work with and around, and I'm friends with a lot of my friends I work with, which is really beautiful. So I say work with, but like my people that I do life with, my community, is so brilliant. And we do a lot of like this, it feels like cerebral acrobatics. Like we will talk about how things should be and what we want and how we want to feel and look and what we deserve. And then sometimes it's right there in front of us, and we do not embody those ways of being to have those things that we want. And so I think that's why it's been on my heart so often lately, because I feel like I'm stepping into, we were just talking about seasons. I'm really stepping into the season. It's also a very churchy thing to say.
Is it?
Yeah, I know you don't always be knowing the churchy stuff. But
I
like,
don't.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Black churches love to talk about like seasons. Like, it's your season. There's a song about like, it's my season for grace, for favor, or like in this season of your life, you gotta da da da. And I believe that. You know, I still have all of that in me. I am in a season of like embodying who I know I've been called to be very boldly, without judging myself for being like, girl, are you being like self-important, or are you being like a know-it-all? Are you trying to tell people what to do? And it's like, girl, no, I just know I can see this thing and I have to say it. And a big part of what I'm trying to communicate, or what I'm communicating, and a lot of the messages that I've been sharing lately, is like, y'all, it's time for us to really just do the things. We can't keep talking about it. We have to do it. And that's embodiment in the smallest ways. It's like, if we want to be healthier, we got to move, and we have to eat right, and we got to drink water. The water is so hard for me.
Really? Still?
My whole life. It's like, I know I have to do that. I just, it's hard, but I can't keep talking about why it's hard, right? So yeah, I think there's a disconnect, and I do not have this figured out. That's why I'm like, we got to talk about it. It's something I run into multiple times a day with multiple people who I trust more than anyone on, like, it's people that are like the smartest people I know. And I'm just like, what is in the way of us embodying the values and ways of being that we know are necessary to have the things that we want? What is that?
So it's funny you should ask.
Yeah.
I perhaps have an answer. I have an answer. This isn't necessarily the answer.
Yeah.
But one of the things that comes up a lot in this space, especially as a caregiver, is, and especially for those who may have grown up very churchy, or just have, we've discussed, visibility and being perceived and stuff, is there's this thing that people talk about with the witch wound. And it's very much, especially women in leadership positions or gifted women or, that kind of thing, is in a past life, we were persecuted for being visible with our gifts and expressing that, like, we know how to fix something or help with something.
Right.
So that comes up with some of the work that we do now, but also as somebody that has done work as like an energy healer, but also somebody that identifies as a creative, I see both elements with this work as well. So when we think about self-expression and creation, those two energy centers are sacral and throat, right? Sacral is very much emotions, but that's creativity. If you are not connected to your emotions enough, or if there's a blockage there, or if you're too emotional, whatever the case, you're not going to express that.
Right.
Or if you don't feel like what you're expressing is being heard, it's going to be suppressed in your emotions, and that builds up too. And then when you look at these two energy centers, the throat center and the uterus, they look the same. Like so they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
They go hand in hand.
So are we thinking it's a block, or it's just imbalanced maybe?
Or it could be either.
It
could be either, because sometimes there's a block where, like, you don't want to do the work, or you don't want to unblock it, right? Because sometimes that it's heavy, right? Like, what am I going to unpack?
Yes.
Working on that.
Yes. Yeah. I think that is definitely, I mean, I've had that experience where sometimes I'm like, I'm not ready to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to right now. I don't have the space for that.
I don't have the capacity to navigate that, so I'm going to leave it. But to your point, to what you were reading earlier, I am very solution oriented. Like, I want to get to, like, that when you come with the thing, I'm like, well, what do we want? And how do we get it? I think the path is right here. What's keeping us from walking it. And that has picked up in the last year or so in a way that I could not even put into words. And sometimes I have to, like, dial it back a little bit, because it can be, I think it can feel insensitive, like not making enough room for the humanity of, like, people being afraid. I just feel like we don't got time to be scared,
But like, you're there now.
Yes.
But look how long it took you.
Right.
But also, like, look at the community that you have around you.
For sure.
So there's a lot more support that you have with that. And some people are stepping into the work that they're here to do without that proper support yet.
Yes. And I'm like, what does support look like? And when people can't tell me, that's when I'm like, that's the first step. So you still got to keep moving. You can't just, I'm always asking, like, what does support look like?
I quote that on here all the time from you.
Yeah, I stole that from Vivian Anderson. Shout out to Viv. I mean, I hate to see people be stagnant, especially when you can tell that it's usually rooted in some kind of fear or I just think it's usually rooted in fear. And of course there are very real societal barriers. We don't got to get into that. I know that's, if you know me, I know that's real. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when it's like you want something or you're in something that is not for you. What is keeping you from getting that out of your life or getting out of that?
Comfort.
You're not comfortable because you're on my line.
Yeah. And
you can't be.
It's one of those, like, especially when it's a habit and it's just ingrained in your routine and it's a regular occurrence, it's difficult sometimes to navigate, like, what does this look like? What does life look like without moving this way?
Yes. I mean, there are certain parts of my work that I don't enjoy. And I think the reason I can tolerate it, because I don't want to make it like, yeah, nothing in my life is that. That's not true. There are parts of my work that I don't enjoy, and I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, and so I can tolerate the discomfort to an extent, because I know that it is a means to an end. It's a path to something else that I'm trying to build, or that the outcome, outweighs the annoyance. It can't be harm, though. And I think that's where I really want us to get into, and I think one of your bullet points will get us to this point I'm about to make. But I want us, when I say us, I'm always talking about Black women. If it's for other people too, that's beautiful. But like, for us to ask ourselves the tough questions about what do you want? And that's so bizarre that it's a tough question, but it's a really hard question for a lot of Black women. And then when you get past that, like, ask yourself what's keeping you from having it. And first step is like, get that stuff out of the way. And it's like, so now what, girl? You got a clean slate. You got all the stuff are things missing? How do we embody the values and ways of being as quickly as possible, so that we can make our way to the life that, we desire and deserve? And I think that, we are women of a certain age these days. And I'm never trying to tell us that we're too old, or we're running out of time, or it's too late to start something new, but it is too late to be in something is not for you. I think it's too late for that.
Agreed.
I'll be 38 next month. You're not going to say how old you're going to be?
I'll be 39 next month.
Look at you. Yeah, I was like...
Yeah, girl, because we don't look like whatever we were supposed to look like at this age. So I'm okay with it. Flips hair. We do Both of us without hair to flip.
Bald head.
Yeah, that's okay.
We don't. But that just feels like... Girl, I want to be settling into like, I'm tired of feeling like I'm still building. I'm ready for my life to feel like I want it to feel right now. I have a lot of people around me that are like, yeah, one side. And I'm like, girl, it's time for us to like it. It's time for us to like it today. Like, we can't keep.
And I get what you're saying too. And I have still like because I am still building, because I have a personal brand. And it's like, what does that look like? Like, how long am I building before the fruit is seen or whatever? Yeah. So it's one of those, like,
it's a hard
question.
You
got to navigate where you are with what kind of work you're doing too.
And I think that's exactly what I'm saying. If where we are is not where we want to be, what do we change today? Because and it's not we're running out of time, but just what are we changing?
We need to be more intentional with the time.
Embody the values because I think we can identify the values and ways of being that will get us there, and then really be honest. Like, am I embodying those, or am I just carrying them? It's like, yes, I know that's a good way to be. Are you being it?
Right. Well, and then I'm talking about human design again, but one of the things that I remember learning was, okay, so in human design, there's different design types. You're a manifesting generator. So the majority of the population are generators and manifesting generators. The majority, right? So when you are a generator or manifesting generator, generators have access to that sacral response, that like fuck yes or fuck no. But so many people have been conditioned to not trust that fuck yes, fuck no. Yeah. So they question it. But the majority of the population has access to an inner knowing, and they're not tuned into it. Right. So even the way you were saying you can ask yourself questions, I tell people, especially if they know their human design and if they are a generator or manifesting generator, to ask yourself yes or no questions, because you'll immediately get a yes or no and how to move with that.
Yeah, I do. And and that's why I've wrestled so much with the martyrdom narrative, because I get a lot of yeses. Like, I've encountered so much stuff that's like, is that my work? And my gut's like, yeah. And I'm like, no. So I'm like, girl,
can I get some no's?
I'm just a little tired sometimes. Like, so it's about balance. And I think that's why I landed at the end of that 10-minute car rant at like, it's about choice. Because I don't have to do it. That is what would make me a martyr.
I feel like because you have gone through what you've gone through over the years and you've built your community and the support that you have, you being a martyr is a way different, because a martyr is just, it's also somebody with different beliefs than the mainstream, right? So it's not necessarily like, it's one of those, you get to choose how you want to embody that title.
Yeah. And I do not feel like a martyr. There were times in the beginning of my work where I was like, I feel like I'm giving way more than I want to. And that was way before I even knew who I was. So I was working myself into a deficit. I don't do that now. I'm overwhelmed some days, but I still don't. I go to bed overwhelmed.
I was about to say, you can
like,
rest.
girl, it's too much going on, and I go to bed. Or I send an email like, hey, I turn my autoresponder on Tuesday. I think it's still on, and that's okay. Just because I'm still doing the work my way. I am doing more than I would like to be doing. That's true. That doesn't mean I'm not supposed to do it. And that's
right, because who's going to tell you how much you're supposed to be doing other than you?
My gut. And my ancestors and the people that came before me that I have so much love, reverence, and respect for. And people that are still here on the planet that I have so much love, reverence, and respect for. I'm watching people and I'm like, well, I don't see her as a martyr, like, but also her life or their life is so service-led, right? And it's just, again, here we are with seasons. That's a theme. Like, I had a very restful season. Like, I would say last September, like that year before last September, I was chilling. I was door dashing. Have we talked about this here?
No, not on here.
Yeah.
No.
I was door dashing, so I got up and I would door dash if I wanted, or I would door dash when I got the kids home. They loved it. It's like ride around all night, giving. It was so mindless, and I made just enough to make sure we were okay. So I was a little stressed because of like financial pressure, but my brain, I did not have, my work was not being generated by my thoughts, and that was so good for me. I needed that that pause, and I think more recently I've just been grieving that season. It was beautiful, but it wasn't supposed to be forever. And our nation is in our state, and we're not doing that today. But
we can do it a little bit. We're here. Like, that's, I mean,
a little. Yeah, I don't want to do it a lot.
This ain't the show for all that now, but
Yeah. There's work to be done. I'm not ready to do it yet.
You're already doing it.
Yeah, but not how I know I'm gonna have to do it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that there is work that I am called to do that is going to be taxing. There is a tax. And I have a video about that too. I ain't released it yet.
Oh, look at you. On fire.
I have a lot of content right now. Look at you. And I don't even really feel like it's content. I just be like raging, and then I'm like, I should say this.
Yeah.
And make sure that I make sense. Also, before I go insane, I want to stop thinking about it. As soon as I record it, my brain's like, whew, cha, thanks for doing that.
And then do you remember what you've recorded? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a little folder.
Okay.
Yeah, on my phone. Look at me with some organization.
I'm just saying, because sometimes I'll come on here, and I've said it before, like I black out after I've recorded.
You do say that. No, I don't have that. Okay. I don't think I have that. But yeah, one of those things for me right now is just like I have skills that I've learned. You talked about the classes, how people are will just stockpile all this training. And so when I first got into organizing and advocacy, activism work, I didn't know anything about the intricacies of it, like how deep in the weeds you can get into when, where, why, how to deploy which types of things to make sure that your community has what they need. And I went to trainings and convenings and conferences to learn those things. in my like mid to late 20s, I was there. You saw. I was there all the time. And so it was kind of like I learned all that stuff, and then I was able to use it in the work I did with seeds, which was great. But what I'm realizing is like, oh, that's for now.
Right.
And I didn't know that now was coming.
Right. Me with massage school. That's why I was like, oh shit, I learned all of this already.
That's like fundamentals. I talk about it all the time. Reese is in soccer and he is doing his personal best and he's doing great. And what I'm always saying is I need him to learn the fundamentals of this game. No one is taking the time to teach these kids fundamentals. They just keep ending up on the field trying to figure it out in real time. And you can tell who people haven't taught these fundamentals. Like,
what an American approach.
There is utility in understanding the function, the layout of the field.
Why we do things the way we do them.
Literally. And so if the other team has the fundamentals and we don't, then baby, we losing. And so I can't. So of course I want to be at my house chilling, reading, having tea and you know, watching the kids play. But I have the fundamentals.
You do.
For such a time as this. And so who are me to be on the couch pissed because they not running the play when I got the fundamentals.
When you're the coach.
Which is why my gut be like, yes, go. I mean, yeah, I think if we're going to talk about it, yeah, the two things that I really foresee organizing around in the very near future are the Black woman poll worker who was assaulted in Orangeburg by the Trump supporter, who was then charged for standing her ground. She needs people to pull up on her behalf. I fully intend to do so. And he needs to know that if he causes harm like that in our state, then he will be he will be held accountable. And then there was a parade in Mount Pleasant where someone approved a float, but it was really just a golf cart, but it was like a float with the person in a Trump mask with a Kamala impersonator behind the golf cart and with like ropes tied around her wrists to almost look like chains, like they were dragging her. Super dark and violent. And those people have to be held accountable. And a message has to be sent that those types of, you know, behaviors aren't going to be accepted in our state. And I am not someone who relies on the government to relay those messages.
No. That makes two of us.
So those are issues that I'm gonna be organizing around, and I'm gonna need support. I'm gonna need people to have our backs. And I mean,
say that louder since you are on a microphone.
I'm gonna need
with
support.
A podcast.
I'm gonna need the community to pull up. And I don't know what that looks like yet, but I have.
If you did know the answer, what would it be? We don't say I don't know in here.
So if I did know the answer,
I don't accept I don't knows because we know.
That's fair. The first step, and here's why I say I don't know. I understand. What I would do first.
Thank you.
Is reach out to the poll worker, and I do know her name, but I'm not going to share it because I haven't spoken with her yet to find out what support looks like for her. What does justice look like for her? You have to ask those questions because for me, it might not look like it looks for her. So I can't go.
She might be all earth and water and you're in here with the rage and fire. Like,
blazing.
Bitch, let's pull up now.
Blazing, right? Like I have no idea what this woman wants. And that will be ego for me to just follow my own desires to see whatever looks like justice for me, right? And that's just not how advocacy works. You cannot advocate for someone who has not asked for your advocacy. As for him,
right.
I'm pretty sure he owns a business, and it will fail.
Here for it.
It will never prosper.
Here for it.
Nothing he touches can prosper from this day forward. Now that we know his name. Yeah.
Here for that.
Yeah.
Support it.
I could find his name too. I'll say his name.
You ain't got to say that on here now, Leah.
I think people should go behind him. You know, I think this is, and I think that's what it looks like. I don't have to say it on here, but I think making sure that whatever justice looks like for her happens, and support looks like for her happens. But for sure, accountability for him and whoever approved that float and whoever the people were on the float.
Yeah, I heard the other day, I don't know if you watched the Meg Thee Stallion documentary.
Not yet.
Okay. But somebody was saying, like, right after that went off, TikTok went and investigated because they showed clips of some of the terrible things people were saying on Twitter and whatnot. And they found a clip of whatever one of the guys was saying. He was basically saying, like, she needed to die or something. And TikTok, he was wearing his UPS or FedEx. He was wearing his work uniform in the video recording that, and did not last long at the job. Immediately after that documentary went off.
Yeah.
And I was like, y'all got to stop doing stupid shit.
On the clock.
Right. Like, just, come on. Like, hide the badge, hide whatever. If you're going to be moving that way, be a little more.
It's not wise.
Smart about it. Yeah.
It's not wise.
But that just lets you know, like, these are the people that they're not thinking that way.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like, this is low hanging fruit. I cannot. I can't. And I did. And here's another way I've tried to override my gut. I'll have you're supposed to do something. I have been calling everyone I can think of to find out, like, somebody's organizing around this because this is outrageous. And I know people. Nobody's. So it's like, girl, it's you. It's like, so you're going to keep on looking for people to do something that you feel so called to do. Do it. Stop bothering people.
That sounds like some shit Shiana says.
Do child. Yeah. So I'm up. I'm up.
We up. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
And even the astrology things and the human design things say, like I'm not going to say it's, but I am going to say that too. It's about time.
Yeah.
But it's about time for all of us, because especially those of us in service roles. But in 2027, I've spoken about this on here before. In 2027, the world is going to look different.
Yeah. There
There are certain things that are happening, as we visibly see now, that aren't going to last. And there are things that we've already, planted seeds. There are ripple effects that are taking place. And 2027 is when we're just going to be seeing it more in the open of what this has looked like in the works.
Ashe. Yeah.
For it.
I don't really like how a lot of it looks.
Yeah.
So I'm down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, that's part of what was happening in 2020. I was getting all those downloads and I was like, oh God, Shiana.
Yep.
Guns and gardens.
Yep.
I don't know which. We need something.
Yep.
And I am a gun violence, prevention expert, and so I don't ever not a trigger warning, not telling people to go. But we need to be able to protect ourselves and feed ourselves because things are going to look very different. Since 2020, I've been.
Yeah. And you've been on that aspect of it, and I've been on y'all need to learn. You need to learn your roles and step into them, but also learn what's yours and what isn't, because that's also going to help you stay empowered in this work.
For sure.
Because I had somebody call me yesterday and she was just like, how do you tell the difference between fear and intuition?
Yeah, scary.
And I was like, let's talk. This seems impersonal via text. And we spoke and I was like, first things first, have you been on social media a lot this week? She was like, girl, see, let's start there. When you are highly sensitive, when you are an empathetic person, you have to get control of your own energy and do things like energetic hygiene, spiritual hygiene things to help reinvigorate what's yours, because we carry, with the work that we do, or we are capable of carrying, other people's shit and absorbing other people's shit. And then if you lean into, the clair gifts, like clairsentience, which is great when you're somebody doing massage work, I know exactly where they have pain. But if you're not somebody doing massage work and you're like, why am I in pain? You need to know.
I don't think I have that one.
No, I don't think you have that. I know you have claircognizance, and I think you have clairaudience as well.
That's when I can hear things.
And also just some songs come to mind sometimes. Like, why is the song in my head? And it's a message. You got that one?
Yep.
Yep.
Wake up. I often wake up with gospel songs on just on a loop, and then I play it, and I'm like, oh,
got it. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
that's clairaudience.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think we talked about this before. Taste.
Claire Gustance,
Yes.
I believe is the name of that one.
I've had that happen twice.
Or Salience, one of them.
Yeah. And
There's like smell and taste.
it was bizarre. Yeah.
They're all really
sleep.
Yeah, they're all real strange.
Yeah.
I've had some people say that they can smell like cigarettes, and they have like a granddad that smoked cigarettes all the time.
That's good. That's good.
So there's all those things. So last time you were here, before you got here, y'all know I talk about shrooms all the time.
Yes.
And the power that they hold within them, and the power that comes with them, and the learning that we can get using them. And I discussed with you, like, can we talk about shrooms? And you were like, I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. Say less. And like, I'm not going to push anybody to talk about anything they don't want to talk about. Like, I know limits.
Yeah.
But not immediately, within the week after we recorded, you were like, hey, I'm ready to talk.
Yeah. and that is also me stretching myself in the area of authenticity and not hiding, you know, things that I know there's nothing wrong with it. Right. And it's not about, that part is not about perception as much as for me, it's like, am I being protective? And that is also, to your friend's question, is like, am I scared, or am I like, do I feel intuitively that I shouldn't? And my no is rooted in like, what if somebody's similar, girl? And that's just not who I am. So this is embodiment in this moment where it's like, you want to talk about this, because I talk about it often when a camera's not around, right? So yeah, this is an exercise in embodiment for me.
I support it. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah. I even had second thoughts as recently as today. And then I was like, girl, if you scared, go to church.
You going to church?
No. not that kind.
I didn't think so.
No.
I didn't think so. So for context, so the people know, y'all, I tried to get Zakiya to try mushrooms for years.
That's a very
As long as I've been talking about them, I would say, hey, Zakiya, hey. Nope, no, keep that away from me. No, Shiana. And I was like, I'm always offer. And if you're around me, like in spaces, I'm always offer. I'm always offer.
You do.
But then you had a change of heart at some point.
I did. It was at your house.
Well, yeah, okay. I wasn't gonna share all that, but yeah, that's fine.
My bad.
It's okay. But
Cut that piece.
No, that's okay. What did you get once you gave them a try?
Yeah, I really eased into it.
You did.
I really eased in. I think,
and this was a microdose for scale purposes.
Yes.
Because when people hear shrooms, they immediately think of like melting walls, floors melding together. That's I know.
And that's why I was like, no.
That's what the media portrays. Like, and we were all in Dare.
Yes.
And we all let him down, but we were all in Dare. And like, so we understand, like, we didn't even have strangers giving us drugs like they said we would, right? So that's a lie, because people have offered me nugs of weed out in public all the time. But
not to kids.
No. Hey, you want some? No, that's not a thing. So for context, melty walls, melty floors and stuff, that's like that might be like 4 grams or something. That's a lot. That's a heroic dose. That is a large amount of mushrooms to ingest.
Right.
A microdose is like 1/10 of that, all right? Just for perspective. So
I started there.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the most I've ever had was 1 gram.
Okay. Yeah.
So the first thing I want to say is that I do not see them as something to do. Like, I don't do them like socially. That's not the way I want to engage it. And I haven't had any in quite a while. But my first experience was just like, does the world really look like this? And have I been like seeing the world on a dimmer? It was just so vibrant. And I don't think the first one I really felt a lot, as much as I just could see so much so clearly, and my brain was so quiet. And I'm such a thinker. I am constantly. It's a song. Somebody's talking. Sometimes
all at the same time.
Me.
All at the same time.
Sometimes it's Toni Morrison. Sometimes it's my kids, and I'm just like, y'all, shh. But that did that for me. I got some really good rest. I wandered through my neighborhood, saw houses I had never seen. So my first experience was like, oh, it allowed me to be in my body in a way that I am not able to that I'm not able to access with the way my brain works. And the way my life is set up, right? Which is why sometimes I'm like, is this martyrdom? Because, girl, you got too much going on. But that was my first experience. And as I sort of started to engage them more, I would set an intention because I realized that, like, oh, this is opening up space for me to think about things without the background noise or to get messages because I am someone who I convene with my ancestors. And I'm just really connected to other realms. I just am. I don't have a name for all of them, but sometimes I just know things and feel things and hear things, and it's not always clear. But the mushroom felt like it gave me a pathway to that. And when I did the gram, that was probably my most like impactful experience. Where I had been struggling with one of my kids. They were having, not like Seed's kids, like my biological kids. They had been really struggling and just like hyper emotional, which kids can be hyper emotional sometimes, but there was something happening and I was like, I don't know what this is and I don't know how to help them or support them. And so that's the intention I said, like, please show me what this child is struggling with. And I saw it. And it broke my heart. I saw it and I felt it and I understood it in a way. And it made room for me to be more compassionate in the moments when they were having these meltdowns that I just did not understand. Like, it's pretty good here. You know, I'm working kind of hard to make it comfy. But, you know, the reality is, I feel like I can give a little context around the struggle is like, you know, I have Black children who go to a predominantly white school. It's a very well-performing school. They're very well-loved and supported at that school. But also there is something to being like tokenized and like to be the minority in a way that is so it's just like very like it's a big gap. Like you're one or two in every class. And I talked to them about that, of course, but they really never shared what the struggles were around it. And so I had this experience and I was seeing like Ruby Bridges type images where I was like, oh, like this is not that, but I see how this is connected to that. Like I saw Ruby Bridges, which was just kind of like, girl, because I remember on the trip when I first saw Ruby Bridges, I said to whoever is running the show, like, all right, not, okay, not too far.
Dial it back a little bit.
Hold on, because I don't know. Because also, I never try to figure out. Like, I really am being curious and open. Like, I set the intention, and I'm like, all right, what you got in here for me? But also, boundaries, because I don't need to feel, I already feel so much. But I just remember just, you know, weeping and being so like connected to what that kid is feeling and being able to help guide them more intentionally around the things they're facing. And they're fine now. But it was just, for me, the utility of it. Like, whenever I heard about shrooms, I thought people were like, oh, it's like party drugs and like you said, melting clocks and walls, Alice in Wonderland. And it's like, girl, I really don't want to do that. That doesn't sound like fun to me. I really like to be firmly planted.
Same. Same.
Like, I just...
Because we're in our heads so often anyway. Yes. And that's why I was like, no, this is different. Like, it's different.
It quiets the noise. It really encourages creativity and play. I play with my kids in a way, and I know that might be a little taboo, but...
No, but that's what I tell women, like, especially mothers. I feel like mushrooms really help you get back in touch with that childlike wonder.
Yes.
And, like, a lot of times when you see kids and they're like, look what I did, and look at this, and you're like, yeah, okay. I don't give a
Because, girl, you know how many emails I got?
Right. But then it's like, I can see why you have such joy in what you have created. Thank you for sharing it with me.
Yeah.
You know,
it
it's
takes
those
the blinders
moments.
off. It takes the blinders off.
And then you even said something else about the speed of.
Oh, can we? Yes. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Which is why I dialed back a little bit. Because I really don't think I was doing it a lot. May have done it now 7 times.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
That's not a lot. Like in total, 7. Because I feel like it was like I'm able to process things at lightning speed. And I was already faster than most people. And this is stuff that I wasn't comfortable with saying before I started engaging. So it's also helped me with my embodiment, right? Like I grew up in a Black church. And so I know you think the word humble is a cuss word. And I do want to talk about that. I get it. The way we use it is a cuss word.
Got it. Like martyr.
Like martyr. It's like, girl, don't be a martyr and like be humble. It's like, wait, don't get me started. We need to have a whole Black church episode because I love the Black church and I think people be getting me wrong. But the word humble for me is like, I'm still working through holding on to what I know it means. So even saying something like, I process things faster than everybody else already, and this has made me faster, that feels like I'm lacking humility. It's just true.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like, I be knowing.
Yeah.
And I know fast.
Yeah.
Which is what makes me good at my work, and it makes me good at being a mom. It makes me a better partner, a better friend. But it does sometimes feel like it removes a layer of sensitivity because if I think I know what you're about to say and I cut you off, that's rude. But I'm like, but girl, I know where you're trying to go. Like, let me just tell you so we can get you what you want. Don't you want this? You want to talk about it or you want this? That's insensitive. That doesn't really make room for connection. And I really feel like the shrooms were like healing some sort of neural pathways or something.
That's what they do.
Sure. Look at me. Look at me just guessing. But it's like I really do feel like I would come out of those spaces and have just this like the sharpness and clarity about so many things. But if I am still in community with people, I went away for like 6 hours and I come back with like, I know he was in the middle of something, but I figured it out. You know what I'm saying? Like Rubik's Cube with life.
Right.
It doesn't feel like connection. So I was like that, it felt like it was removing a layer of some of the experience. You know? Some of the like, I don't really know how we got here, but I know the answer. And I can't tell you because I already know.
And in my head, you can just be more transparent with them with like, we don't need the hoopla.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about it and get solutions.
Yes. And sometimes that works. And sometimes people are like, what are you talking about? Because they're
not there.
And they get to understand like how we got there. But I don't know if I'm explaining that well. But it is something that I cannot deny came from me having maybe in total 4 grams, like out
over
of the
time.
7, over time. And it's good. It's good for me. It's good for the way I do my work. It's really good for my work. Relationships, it makes a little bumps, and I mean even like work relationships because it's like, girl, I know what I'm doing, and I just have to do this way, and you just have to trust me. Hope it works.
I feel like that's not even like we can say that's mushroom stuff too, but it's also that embodiment stuff
for
again.
sure. Which I feel like the shrooms helped me step into because it's like those parts where I was still unsure and questioning. It was like, no, this is who you are. This is what you know. And you get to make this. I love an informed decision. It's my favorite. Informed decisions are my favorite. Which is why I also love the truth. Which is, tell me what I need. Tell me the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth. And then we get to go and make the best decision based on the truth. And then if it doesn't work, we know that we did our part because we used the facts and we made informed decisions to move forward. And so I think, I want to go back to the word humble and what I think it means. I think when we talk about humility, it's about being able to admit when you're wrong or when you've hurt somebody. Like you have to be able to humble yourself to be accountable. And for whatever reason, society, I can't put that all in the Black church because it's mostly like towards women. Society has told us that being humble means like you are supposed to be apologetic about your gifts. And it's literally not what it means. That word just doesn't mean that. It's like it literally means to like I am able to say that I can mess up because I can. To me, that is what it means to be humble.
That's fair.
And to embody humility.
That's fair.
And that is something that it is a value that I carry. Like if I do something that hurts somebody, I am more than willing and capable of saying I apologize and making offerings and asking like, what does repair look like? So I'm careful to throw humility out the window. What we've been conditioned to believe it is, that can go, which is why I can say
that's fair.
I know a lot, and shrooms help me communicate it faster with more efficiency and with more clarity for myself and others. You know, that's what makes me good at my job.
And I always tell people, like, a mushroom's job, magic or not, but a mushroom's job, when you look at the mycelium network, the wood wide web, is literally connection. Like, they are here. That's what they're here to do.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that everything you just named, connecting brain activity, connecting you with your community more.
Yes.
And that's why I'm like, y'all, like, this is a really good medicine for what we got going on out here.
It is.
For sure.
It is. Yeah, definitely.
With intention and with the right support.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's not a
party drug. It's
not a party drug. And I think that's what I wanted to talk about. Like that it's not that. And it should be legal.
It should. We're getting there. Let's talk about Journey to She.
Yeah.
So I remember I messaged you. Was it earlier this year? I don't know. Time. I remember I messaged you at some point, and I was like, hey, because I was like going through who I was following. I was doing some digital decluttering, and I was going through and I was like, she has this page that she created forever ago. She's got like one post on here. What are you doing? And then you were like, yeah, that's coming back around. Got it. And now it's back.
I have 9 Instagram pages. I have 9 Instagram pages. Okay? Which is why I'd be like, gut, chill, dog. Like, we cannot do everything, girl. We can't. This one we have to do, though.
Right now, anyway.
Right now. It's time. So I wrote a book. It lives in my phone for now. It's called The Journey to She. And I know it's a part of why I'm here, what I have to share with the world. And it's really a collection of, there's some poetry in there, there's some stories, and there are just what I call like think pieces. I am getting more comfortable calling myself a thought leader, and there are things that I have thought about that I think I should share with the world. I want to make sure that I'm clear that I'm not here to share any answers. I don't have the answers per se. I don't. I really want people to think. Because I believe that even with my martyrdom conversation, I wasn't telling people to be or not to be. I was saying, I think we need to think about this, guys. Like, if there are other folks in the world who feel called to do this or to do that, you get to decide if you want to answer the call. I do not think it's bad I think it will be inbounds for me to say no. I don't think it's wrong for me to say no. But I think we get to ask ourselves why we're saying no. Do you want to say no? Do you want to say yes? Are you saying no just so you want to be a martyr? Like, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to provoke people to think. I'm provoking people to think. You are good.
I didn't say a word.
I know.
I didn't say a word.
I don't let you cook. You're good. You're good. Your presence. That's embodiment. Your presence is pushing me to not even like speak in anything but affirming language. That's embodiment. Shout out to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Journey to She. The title of the book comes from. Have you had Carrie Claudia on here?
I haven't.
That would be good. That would be
that
fun.
on the to-do list.
Yeah,
I sure will.
Carrie Claudia Allen is a good friend of mine. She's been married, and I'm just not good.
Yep, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I love you.
It's newish, within the last couple years.
Yeah, several. Yeah, she is happily married and has a wonderful husband. I just can't remember her last name right now. But Carrie Claudia is the person that I attribute my mirror work journey to. She is someone who came into my life and was a very disruptive force in the best way. Like really came in and was like, yeah, I don't think you really, you know, like, and really just catapulted me into self-discovery through friendship and connection. And she inspired me to ask myself some really tough questions about who I am. And in that, I discovered that I had no idea. Not only did I not know who I was, I didn't know what I wanted. And I didn't even know if the life that I had built was what I wanted. And so I started doing like affirmations. We started real small, and then mirror work, which is something that people can Google, and we could do a whole podcast on mirror work. But what I found there is that I wasn't who I wanted to be. And I started to refer to the person I wanted to be because it felt that far away from me as she, right? And so that's how you come up with the journey to she. I'm she now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But the affirmations, I couldn't even say them like I am at the time because it was such a lie. It was just not true. So I would say things like, she is well-read.
Gotcha.
She is, well hydrated. I'm talking. We started real basic. Like she drank her water. I'm still working on that.
You said it's journey to she.
It is a journey. It's a journey. She is, meaningfully connected to her family, friends, and community. She is knowingly well loved. Things like that, right? And I just journaled and wrote and really documented everything while I was becoming, and I'm still becoming. We're always becoming.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I hope
like
so.
Kodak. But
poor Kodak. Send up a prayer for him. He's not doing well. He's not well, but I hope so.
He needs better friends.
Where are his people?
That's not something we're responsible for. That one you don't have to pick up.
No.
All right?
Don't you worry.
You don't have to pick
Don't
up
you
at
worry.
all.
But yeah, so that's where the title comes from.
Okay.
And right now, what it looks like is I have an Instagram page. Start my TikTok today. I'm not a TikToker.
Okay.
But I'm gonna try.
You what?
I wasn't a TikToker.
Oh, okay, cool.
I am using TikTok because I'm learning that, at least at this part of my journey, I'm kind of long-winded, and I don't want to censor myself. I want to say everything that's on my heart to say. And all of these messages have been like right at 10 minutes, which I learned today. TikTok has like a 10-minute cutoff. And I was like, oh, so this is where I'm supposed to be? Okay, cool, great. The messages, and I know me and you had to talk about this, are not for everyone. And I'm aware of that. And I think I know that I am being protective. That space is not for monitoring spirits. I come from a very, not politically, but conservative world. My world is very conservative. Even me cussing on this podcast is going to be like, they're going to be like, she's saying shit on the podcast? I am saying shit on the podcast.
You have a Mercury in Sagittarius.
I do.
That's a lot. I feel like that goes with the territory.
But conditioning is a hell of a thing.
Fair.
And cultural norms and values, right? And so I was raised in a family where it's like, I remember being told, if you wouldn't do it or say it in front of your grandmother, you don't do it and say it. It's like a grounding value and principle, right? My grandma is on the ancestral plane, so anything I do or say, she sees. And you know what I'm saying?
I mean, she'll tell you if she doesn't like it, I'm sure.
Yeah, she doesn't care.
Yeah,
and I know that. I know that. And I am, this is also a part of me, like my embodiment, my authenticity, and not policing or censoring myself for, the pleasure or comfort of others. And not just with saying shit on a podcast, but also telling parts of my story that might make people uncomfortable. I'm not going to tell, I think I'll go ahead and say what I'm not going to tell so people don't come for that. I'm not going to tell why I got a divorce. That's not going to be in the book. That's not going to be on some TikTok or Instagram page. I have children who I have so much respect and reverence for, who don't know the ins and outs and details of that, and I would never put it online. I also have a lot of respect for their dad. And I'm not going to tell that part of his story. And also, it's just not y'all business.
Yeah.
So,
And that's fair.
yeah. So I just do want to make sure that people don't think I'm like doing a teaser, like, yeah, you're going to find out. No, that's not for that.
It's not what this is.
That's not what this is. So don't come looking for that. I know people that do that though. They'll make it like they might think no, this ain't a marketing scheme. And I really am approaching the journey that she intentionally abandoning marketing practices, any regard for social media algorithms or any of that. I already had the branding done since 2020. This has really been a long time coming. I have a whole brand guide, and I'll use some of it because it's pretty, and I paid for it. But if I hadn't, I wouldn't, because I just really want these messages to resonate or to meet whoever they resonate with, wherever they are. And I just believe that my ancestors and those people's ancestors and all of the powers that be can bypass whatever algorithm is there to get it to them. So I'm excited about sharing it. It feels good to me. Part of sharing it is just like, I feel good about sharing. It feels cathartic.
And we had a thing earlier this week where we both had instances of people that needed to connect within 24 hours of one another. So yeah, I get it. Like the messages or the people that need to hear what you have to share, they will be heard and received because of the work that's going on behind the scenes that we have no control over.
Right.
But we know that we have higher forces and higher powers working with us.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. I trust them. Yeah.
So when is this book out?
I would love, I don't want to say I don't know. If I knew, that's it? That's the question?
If you did know the answer, what would it be?
If I did know the answer, it would be late spring.
Okay.
Next year.
Okay.
If I did know the answer, it would be spring of next year.
All right. We'll be on the lookout for it.
I'm excited.
Mercury is currently about to go retrograde, and it's going retrograde in Sagittarius. So when we typically hear Mercury in retrograde, it's like, but as you can see, so we're in the pre-shadow phase right now.
Okay.
And I often say a lot of times pre-shadow and post-shadow, I get more fuckery around my life with that than in the midst of it. But
you do say that every time.
But in saying that, like, retrogrades are a good time to revisit projects that, you've already been working on. So I found it hilarious that we both have a Mercury in Sag, and we're here recording in the pre-shadow.
The pre-shadow, yeah.
And that wasn't planned. That was just how it worked out.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm engaging Journey to She this past week in a way that I have never. And so maybe it lasts like 2-3 weeks. So that tracks. Yep. Yeah.
So here for it. I love when astrology be astrology, and
you can count on it. You can't knock it.
Well, as always, I love having you on here, and outside of here, I always love our conversations anyway.
Have a good chat. A good chat.
And I feel like a lot of my listeners and audience are always getting some really good information and wisdom from you being here. So I appreciate it.
Of course. Can I give a little parting message for people?
Yeah.
I know it's been a hard week for a lot of us. Not sure when this is going to come out. Either way, I'm sure people know what I'm talking about. So just, do what Shiana and I have done this week, which I'm proud of us, which, lean on your community in this time. Allow yourself to be poured into, which I did. My friend offered, and I literally had already typed like, girl, I'm fine. And then I was like, ugh, do it. Do it. And I don't know that there are so many of us I do know there are so many of us who have been conditioned to believe that we are here to give. And we are. We are.
We're also here to receive.
You have to make room to receive. That is not easy for me. It's not even hard for me to, it's yes, it's not easy for me to ask. It's hard for me to receive even when you offer. I have a friend that makes these beautiful flower walls, and I wanted to book her for my sister's baby shower. I was harassing her because I was like, I don't think she gets how close this is. And she finally was like, I said I'm going to do it. And I said, but I don't have an invoice. I don't have an email. Like, I'm just trying to confirm. And she was like, I said, I'm going to do it. And I was like, oh. And it was such a, like, I am usually not that far from like what's happening. Mm-hmm. It was such a moment of like, you are so far removed from receiving that you don't even realize when you are almost rejecting an offering because you so busy trying to offer. I'm like, well, I want to support. And she's like, girl, I said I'm going to do it, you know? And it was great. It was beautiful. My sister deserves, I deserve. And I'm still just very grateful that she was willing to drive and spend her day. And it was such an uncomfortable thing for me. And so I really have been thinking thought leader and wanting to share that it's important for us, especially women, especially Black women, to make room to receive, especially at this time when we've given so much. The numbers don't lie. We did what we always do, and it's okay to make room for people to support you in this time, and to not rush back to work. There is nothing on fire that won't be on fire next week.
Right. Right.
I don't want to say nothing on fire.
Fair. But also the receiving aspect of whatever is the feminine energy.
Yes.
The doing the work, the going, the doing, the producing, that's a very masculine driven energy.
It is.
And that's not what we're here to be all the time. Yeah.
And I find myself often much more comfortable in that space. And I don't apologize for that. I think that's a part of my queerness. Like, I do embody some feminine and a lot of times a little more masculine energy, but it's something that I am having to reckon with because my values, this is embodiment. My values say that I want to give and receive. I want to be in community with people that understand equity and balance and reciprocity. But if I don't make room for that, then that is me working against my own values and what the life that I say I desire and deserve. And so I get to be open to receive and to make room to even just recognize it. That was a wake up call for me that I didn't even recognize that somebody, I was panicked. I was like, oh God, she forgot. And she was like,
I got you.
It's finished. I'm looking at it. She was done. So I really want to share that because I don't think I'm alone in that way of being. So we get to make room to receive.
Yes.
Especially in this season.
Yes.
Here rest.
Yes. So, as always, thank you all for tuning in. Obviously, she'll have to be on here again.
Oh.
We're waiting on her podcast, but clearly she's got a lot on the plate right now. So
there's an Instagram page for that too, child. It's one of the 9.
That's
fair.
A different one. That's fair. But yeah, I look forward to what you got in the works.
Thank you.
And you already have some support here too as well. So
I do. And thank you for what you're doing for this space.
Thank you.
Very brave space.
Thank you.
And it inspires me to be brave. And so
thank you.
Thanks for convening.
You're welcome. Be sure to tune in next week. And as always, make sure you meditate and hydrate.
Yep.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Who You Callin' Holistic. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. You can find me and all my services on Sheana.com. That's SHEANA.com.